Nation of Israel. And when we last left off, we were going to look at the process of faith. Alright. So we're going to look at the book of Romans 12:3. Alright. For I say, through the grace given unto me, to every man that is among you, not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think, but to think soberly, according as Elohim has dealt to every man the measure of faith. Alright. I looked up the word measure. Alright. It comes from the Greek word metron. Okay. And it means a measure, by implication, a portion. So Yahweh has given every man a portion of faith. Just a little bit, just a little portion. But as we know, faith by itself is incomplete. So our works mix with this portion, and it grows our faith. But it's up for us to do. We have to do that. We have to grow our faith. Because we only start a little bit. We only start with a little bit of faith. It's up to us to grow. Alright. Book of James 2:22. Seest thou how faith wrought with his works, and by works was faith made perfect? We read this verse a couple times, right? And we're going to look at this word perfect, right? And this word perfect comes from the Greek word teleuo, and that means complete. That is accomplished, finished. Okay. As we can see, the amount of faith that we receive, all right, is just a portion in the beginning, and it's up to us to complete it. We have a task that work accomplishes our faith. Okay. Now let's look at another verse. 1 Thessalonians 3:10. Night and day, praying exceedingly that we might see your face and might perfect that which is lacking in your faith. Okay. Now this word here, perfect, is a different word than teleuo, right? This word is katartizo. And this word means to complete thoroughly, so it does have a similar meaning, but it also means to repair. Alright? Now, it's funny that this word faith means to repair. I'm going to share a story with you about myself. I was not born into this life. Growing up, I was a Christian. And I went to a Baptist church. I went to a Episcopalian church. When I was about 12 or 13 years old, I didn't have any money for the collection plate one week. We weren't the richest people, but I made sure I stuck something in the collection plate. Begged my mother for $1 or something. And one week my mother couldn't give it to me. She didn't have it. And so she sent me to church and said, well, don't worry about it. God's going to bless you anyway. You'll still get that blessing. So I was a little, it brought me up a little bit. So I go to church, and we sang the song, read some scripture and everything, and got taught the lesson and everything. And when the collection plate came around, I just passed it on along. I didn't have anything to put in it, so I passed it on along. One of the elders of the church, a woman elder of the church, the mother, as they're called, said, well, you got to make sure you put some money in the collection plate or God won't bless you. And that just crumbled me. And for a long time, man, I didn't go to church. Didn't want to have nothing to do with church, because it was getting conflicting messages. And God won't bless me just because I didn't have anything to put in the collection plate this one time. I lose the blessings, this one time. So I stopped going to service, stopped going to church. So years later, came across this man named George McDaniel. And he was teaching on the book of Revelations and the seal of God and the beast system and everything. And I went there with the intent to ask the questions that couldn't be answered. And before a lot of the questions I had, before I could ask them, they were answered. So I knew that this man was a man of God. And it repaired my faith. For him, he said, don't believe me. Don't take my word for it. Check behind me. I could be lying to you. It sounds good. I could be lying to you. So I did, and, the things he said checked out. So ever since then, man, I've just been studying hard and learning more. And, Yahweh repairs your faith, if you're one of his and if you truly seek after him. If that's truly what you want, he'll hear your cry, he'll hear your voice, and give you what you need, He said, Aya Asha Aya. I will be what I will be. Whatever you need me to be, I'm going to be. He told that to Israel. It applies. He told that to physical Israel at that time. It applies to us too. Whatever we need him to be, he'll be. So, I wasn't really thinking about the scriptures when that word came up, repair, because it happened with me. I'm a testimony to that. So, but let's get back to the lesson. I said from the beginning we're going to close up soon, and we're going to look at Hebrews 11:1. So we'll be revisiting this verse, and now we're going to revisit it. The Hebrews 11:1. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. I looked up the words in this verse. The word substance in the Greek comes from the word hypostasis, right? And that means a support, setting under. That is essence, assurance. It's a support, okay? The phrase of things hoped for comes from the Greek word elpidzo, and that means an expectation, okay? The word things, right? That comes from the Greek word pragma, and it means a deed, an object, an affair, right? A business matter, all right? And the word not seen, the things not seen. And that word comes from proso in the Greek, and it means to practice. That is, to perform repeatedly or habitually. Okay? So let's look at faith like this. Going by those definitions. Right? We're just going to input the definitions into the verse. Faith is the support of our expectations and the proof of deeds not seen. Okay? Like the Messiah said when Mary was there, I know that you heard me. But to prove this to them, Lazarus, come on out. And now they believe. Alright? And because that story was written and recorded, those who believe in the Bible, we're not there. We didn't see that. But we have faith that Yahushua did these things. Once again, my name is Dale Well. I hope this lesson has been a blessing to you. From Bet Yahweh, nation of Israel, bidding you shalom.